This is Ruth from Visakhapatnam, and I'm here to share my story with you. I'm married to an army officer, James, who's posted at Gopalpur, and we are blessed with two children, Bryan and Serena. I'm a marine biologist, and I've also done my master's in education, worked as a principal of various schools for a few years. I think I should first share my journey with Bryan. Henceforth, I will refer to Bryan as a very special child and refer to myself as a very special mom. Why do I call myself as a very special mom? It hasn't been an easy journey with Bryan right from the day he was born. He was a very frail child, went through a lot of health issues. Many times I felt that this child would not survive beyond a day. And every time this child would pull through. And by pulling through, he taught me that if as a frail child he has strength, then if as a special mom, I should have more strength. And it is this strength, this thought of being strong for myself, and in turn being strong for everyone else in the family and others around me, this is what changed my outlook towards life. Now, what was it about Bryan that was difficult? Bryan was a very frail child and would never eat. He had a lot of feeding problems. He wouldn't suck milk. He wouldn't swallow milk. And at a later stage, he wouldn't chew, which is something that he still doesn't do till today. Bryan needed a lot of care and attention. And in order to prevent myself from going into depression because of the monotonous routine of taking care of the child, I started looking for different avenues to invest my creativity, and found a few friends who are willing to teach me various forms of art. So as a result of this, I got into learning three-dimensional murals, of course glass painting, making flowers, metal embossing, just to name a few. So along with taking care of Bryan, I also had to take care of my daughter Serena, who was born 4.5 years later. And then it was two infants on hand. For almost 15 years of my married life, 14 years of Bryan's life, and 10 years of Daisy's life, I never knew day from night. I never knew morning from evening. I never knew the time. All I knew was that I existed just to take care of the children, run the family, and meet all the social requirements, being an army officer's wife. But never once did I let anyone around me know how difficult life was for us behind the closed doors of our home. Wherever we went, whatever we were doing, we were that cheerful, happy couple with lovely children, and inspiring people to be better parents, inspiring people to be better with the way they are looking at life. And I think that this did not come easy to me, especially, to be able to look at things from a different perspective altogether. Where Bryan was concerned, there was this sadness that this child wasn't doing things like other children were. And that hurt a lot to know that, this child would never be able to do things normally. But then I thought differently. Okay, so what if he doesn't do things normally? So what if he doesn't grow to be, an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or whatever in life? But maybe in silence, because Bryan is, verbally challenged too. And I thought, okay, in silence, this child should be a blessing to others. And so when I started looking at his life as a blessing to people around me, things changed visibly, just not for me, but for everyone within the family. So yeah, I think traveling has become second nature to me. Being in the army, being posted all over the country, moving from place to place, having a husband who loved going on long drives and trekking and things like that. Even when Bryan was a baby, we would just put him into a sling bag and take him along with us wherever we went. And what I realized over a period of time is that Bryan loves traveling. He is his happiest best even he's in a train or in a flight or in the car. And that was when I realized that, I could go wherever I wanted to go, see whatever I wanted to see, do whatever I wanted to do, and, take this kid along. Leaving him behind at home was never an option because we never had anyone to take care of him. It was just me and my husband taking care of him all the time. And so I had to take him with me wherever I went. I also have, this funny habit of making online friends and then, going over to visit them, to spend some time with them, to get to know them better. And who better than to take with, I would take Bryan with me. So I use Bryan as a barometer wherever I travel. If people are nice to him, then I think, okay, I can make friends with them. If people are very cold and very indifferent to Bryan, then, I'm like, okay, I need to, be careful with that person. I should be careful when I'm interacting with that person. So he became my barometer where, making friends are concerned. And I guess today it's like, I don't think twice if I have to just pack my bags and move, because I know that, Bryan is going to be really comfortable with me traveling wherever we go. It's actually fun to see the way the child sits in the train or in the flight when we are moving around, enjoying himself, just watching people move around. He's not that, frisky kind of kid who would move from one place to another. You make him sit on a flight, he just sits very quietly, and he puts one leg over the other and swings his feet. Or, if in a train, then he just loves lying down, and relaxing, So he's actually living the life that everyone, that most people would want to, so. But yeah, he's living life in a different way. We've been across the country, from across the north to south to, to the west. Yeah. So that's how much we've moved around, the both of us. I think by far the best memory that I have was the recent trip that I made to Bhopal when a friend of mine died. We decided that Bryan also should go with us, and that was, I think, one of the best decisions that we had made. Now, this friend of mine, Deepu, was a quadriplegic, on bed for almost 36 years. He passed away recently. It was for his 13th day memorial service that, we decided to go to Bhopal. And the moment we entered his home, this child, he just went into Deepu's room. And everyone were shell-shocked. We think that children who are very special may not be able to understand, the loss of a person. But here, Bryan completely understood that Deepu wasn't there, at home, and hugged me. And every time I would go to their home in the morning or in the evening, from my room, this child would just go and sit on the bed that was next to Deepu's bed and just look at the bed. To me, that was a very touchy moment, to know that Bryan understood that his friend is no more. Yeah, so every journey that we both have done, in the last years, I feel that there are a lot of memories that we have made. And it was only after this particular, journey of ours to Bhopal that I realized that this boy is attached, to certain people, to certain places, and remembers. It's like, he hasn't forgotten. So it also doesn't, to me it means that, I cannot take Bryan and, the way he does things for granted. I should be able to, realize and understand, that when I'm taking this child with me to different places, he also is making memories for himself. And so that put things into perspective for me. So initially we were very hesitant to have, pets at home. To me, it was an additional burden of taking care of Bryan and Daisy, as well as, a pet at home. Then one day we just happened to go to my mom's place, and she had a small pom with her. And I found Bryan and the pom, Cash, cuddled up with each other. And that was when I realized that, having a pet at home would probably make a difference for the child. There's someone he can call his own, whom he can cuddle to, and whom he could squish and squash, and uh, uh, not be judged for doing that. So that was how we first brought home brought our first pet home called Raisin, and it's been a constant, continuous journey with the dogs at home. Parenting didn't come easy to me. Handling Bryan and handling all the challenges that I had with him, I became a very angry person. I became very dissatisfied with life. And then when my daughter was born, I was looking for everything to be perfect with her. I was like, okay, what this child didn't do, the other child has to do. Until, one fine day, I realized that I cannot have, one set of rules for Bryan and one set of rules for Serena. And that is when, I decided that if I can accept Bryan just the way he is, with all these so-called imperfections, then I should be able to deal and accept my daughter also, just the way she is. And the moment that realization came to me, things started getting better. My relationship with my daughter improved. I became a better person. Oh, Bryan's strengths. I think coping with me as a mother, I think it takes a strong guy to cope with a mad woman like me, a crazy woman like me. Yeah. So, yeah, jokes apart, I think Bryan is very unconditional in accepting people around him. He's not looking to see what he is going to get from them. The moment someone enters the home, or he sees someone, he if he feels that they really need a hug or something, very intuitively he will go and give them a hug. And this is something that people have come back to me and told me, something, Bryan, that day when he hugged me, this is what I was going through. So I think the intuition that someone is going through some kind of a turmoil is probably one of his major time strengths. So basically, Bryan is non-verbal, has been non-verbal all his life. And so communication is very different with him. Bryan has this very peculiar way of clapping, and it's really loud, really shrill, and it can pierce your ear. So depending on what his need is and where he is, whether if he's in the washroom, it's one kind of a clap. If he's at the dining table, it's a different kind of clap. If he needs to be dressed, it's a different kind of clap. So we've learned to differentiate between the sound of his clap. The way he makes noises with his mouth also. So if he's going the way he makes that sound is an indication of whether he's happy or angry or irritated or just needs attention, or sometimes it's just that he's hyper and his medication has to be given to him. This is a very subtle way of Bryan communicating with us. So this is Bryan. He's my eldest. Today is his birthday. He completes 28 years. And I just can't believe how time has flown. He was just a small baby, just yesterday. And today he's all grown up, a little child man. Bryan is autistic. He's intellectually challenged. And he's also verbally challenged. So it means that he doesn't speak at all. He understands things pertaining to him, and he communicates with us through tiny gestures, with our noises, and with claps. Hey parents, life is not going to be easy for us. We will have our ups and we will have our downs. But through it all, we just need to remember one thing. Our children are very special to us. And if not we, who else to give them the love, care, and affection that they need? So let's just accept them the way they are. Let's not put any kind of societal pressure on them. Let's not put any kind of parental pressure on them. Let's not put any kind of peer pressure on them. Let's just accept them the way they are, and let's move on. Let's be a blessing to people around us.